it's all now friends and stuff like that now.
Yeah, I've gone past all that. My kids are into. I don't know if you've ever seen it, Dave. Friday night dinner.
It rings a bell, but I must admit.
Oh, the lad out of In Between Us is in it. It's about a Jewish family. Oh, it's hilarious. Our whole house has just changed. Very funny.
Just seeing if we're live, and which we are.
Yeah.
Just retweet everything out, and then we'll get going. Craig said he can join us, but he can only join us from 8 o'clock to 8 o'clock because he's got a table booked.
Yeah, I bet he has. There he is.
Evening.
You all right, Mike?
Not too bad.
Good.
Still won't let us post to the Isthmian page.
Well, that's not down to me. I haven't spoke to anyone from there for ages. It's got to be you.
Yes, probably is me. Yeah, probably so. I said. Well, welcome to the D&K Reposs Non League show, and me and Keith, we're back for the next 2 hours-ish tonight. And Keith, enjoyed the break?
Yes, mate. Yeah, it's not been bad. Been away a little bit and watched quite a few games. Obviously, now kids have gone back to school. Sod's law, the weather's getting good. But apart from that, mate, yeah, all good.
Nice cruise then, yeah?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, just round the UK with Vicky, my other half. She loved it for her birthday. So yeah, something different.
Oh, happy days. And of course, also joining us tonight as well, bottom left-hand corner, assistant manager at Tame United, Stuart. Welcome, Stuart. How are you?
Thank you. Yeah, very well, thanks. Yeah, all good.
Good. And of course, the man that's been all over social media for probably the last 4 or 5 weeks, and he's looks as fit as the fiddle still. Of course, Michael Spencer, Waltham Abbey manager. And how are you, sir?
I'm fine. Doing well. Recovering.
And we're hoped to be joined by the living legend, Mr. Craig Edwards, as well at some point. Whether or not he will join us or not, but hopefully he will. And unfortunately, Mark Harrison from Tilbury is unwell, and of course, we were expecting to be joined by Anthony Johnson as well, and unfortunately, he had other things that had to be done, so he couldn't be here tonight either as well, which is a shame. But Keith, I mean, results that have actually sort of, made you sort of open your eyes a little bit since we've been away.
Cool. Here he comes himself. No, there's been quite a few, Dave. I think if we look in the FA Cup at the weekend, there was a few surprises there. I went along to Phoenix to watch them play Chipstead, which was a really good game, to be honest. I've watched quite a few of Phoenix's games, obviously at home, and I thought Chipstead was mostly the best side I've seen come down there, and it was a great result for Phoenix. Obviously, VCD losing to Jersey. We've had Jersey on the show quite a bit, Dave, and I know they were a good side. I didn't really expect that. And just I think the team that's really impressed me over all the leagues at the moment is mostly Whitton Town. I think they've had a great start to the Northern League, North and the Easterman, and going really well. So it's been good. And I know Craig's on, but Craig Wanderers had a very good start as well under their new management of Danny Kedwell. So it's been good. It's been good. Obviously, the FA Cup's made it, and the draw today. I know Craig's looked at his draw, and I know Stuart as well. We just spoke about Margate's the replay tomorrow, but now with the conference south and north sides coming in, it's sort of starting to really kick in now this season.
I suppose the other one as well. The other one for me as well, which has had some quite impressive results, was, I know it's a step below, but Walthamstow with Terry. I mean, turning over a Southern Central side in the FA Cup as well. So great start for them, and for somebody that Craig knows very well, in Mr. Hallett, or of course, and Michael as well.
Yeah, they both do. He's scoring goals. They've had a great start. You are right, Dave. And again, still in the FA Cup, they'll do well. They will do really, really well. I tell you what Ilford, with the Barking result, obviously beating them and obviously having to replay on Saturday, I thought they were looking at one point that they were going to knock them out again, until obviously George Purcell pops up with a couple, as he does what Mr. Hallett does quite regularly. So, Barking have had a good start as well.
Yeah, and of course, he's joined us. There he is, the living legend himself, Mr. Craig Edwards, down in the bottom right corner. How are we, sir?
Yeah, good, thanks. Good, you?
We're all good, mate. We're all good.
Right,
he's out on his holidays by the looks of it. What do you think?
I'm on the south coast. We've got a little place on the south coast, and just chilling out before I'm back at it.
Before you're giving those referees grief.
No, I'm this year I'm the referee's best friend. It'll tell you that. I'm getting a far more mellow in my old age. And all the referees have been fantastic.
Happy with your start though, Craig?
Not really, no, because and you can ask the managers we've played. We've had 4 games and been the best team in every game. And we've won 1, drew 2, and lost 1. And every game we were the better team. So, we've every game we've played, I think we've played very, very well, but we haven't been clinical enough. And we're learning from the games thick and fast. But I wouldn't say I'm over happy with the start. But performance-wise, yeah, but not result-wise.
I've just had a message coming from James Sykes. He says, please give Craig my regards.
That's the nicest thing he said to me for a few years.
Yeah, Craig, how's your start? Obviously, you said about the start. This goes obviously to Michael and Stuart as well. How's it been now? You've had a proper pre-season and the season's underway, and obviously, hopefully, things look like we're going to be able to have a proper season for once.
Well, that's the biggest thing for me, because I think everyone suffered, in the last couple of years, and to get a full season will be fantastic, and. Regarding their start, like I said earlier, not over happy, but it's full of promise. We're playing some fun, fantastic football. And I think anyone who's played us will tell you that we play some really good football. And it's just putting it all together. At the moment, like I say, we've just not got that little edge about us, but I'm sure that will come. We're creating plenty of chances, but we're not killing teams off. And but yes, it's good. I mean, the league looks fantastic again. We was top for the first week, and now we're 11th. But I expect it to be a real topsy-turvy league. I think I think there's a hell of a lot of teams in there that have got the potential to win it. So yeah, I mean, every game looks competitive. All the sides we've played have been very competitive, and you don't look at really any easy games in the division. I know it's an old cliche, but it really does look a tough league this year.
Surprised about Kingstonian, no, Craig?
Lee said.
He always asks you that question, doesn't he? He always brings Kingstonian up with you for some reason.
Because you always beat them. They're lucky we ain't played them in the first 4 games.
But in all fairness, Craig, though, I mean, when he went down to Enfield on Monday, there was no nothing dodgy there for red cards or nothing, was there? There wasn't no body slams or anything like that going on from the Enfield Town team?
Yeah,
they got Triple H on the outside.
Where they were better than us, they managed the game very well. And I spoke to Mario. I mean, they must have had 8 players go down after they scored. And, you know, I was moaning about it. And he said, we had to slow you down. We couldn't keep up with you, you know. And they did manage the game very, very well. You know, in second half, to be fair, they limited us to you know, a few clear-cut chances. And yeah, the only thing disappointing was over there. We had a bit of a row afterwards, and we put a complaint in because they had no hospitality, no food, and they fed their own players and didn't feed ours, which I thought was shocking. You know, and I said to one of their directors come over. I said, look, you know, it's like inviting someone that you're the host, we're the guests. I said, how can you feed your own and not feed your guests? I said, it's shocking. And he tried to tell me they all bought it, the players. They sneaks in the pizzas for them, and he's tried to tell me that they bought it themselves, which is pathetic. Anyway, so we weren't happy with that. But I found the week before that Brighton this year had exactly the same experience, and they've complained about it as well. So, you know, that's poor. But when they come over to us, they'll receive a very, very good welcome, and we'll be good hosts for them like we are with everyone. That was disappointing, you know. But the game itself, I thought was a cracking game. Like I said, I thought we were much a better team, but we got nothing out of it. Fair play to them, they've done well. And, you know, it was a bit tongue-in-cheek with Kingstonian, but they, you know, already looking like the side to beat, you know, them. You know, the obvious ones, Worthing, Hornchurch. They look, you know, to me the 3 sides to beat that be right up there, and you know, all look like they're tremendous sides. I mean, I watched the extended highlights of Worthing against Bognor, and Bognor beat them 2-0. But Worthing could have scored 8 or 9 goals. It was unbelievable. I don't know if you see it, but they looked a hell of a side. You know, so. You know, what I've seen of Kingstonian, what I know about them, their players, and Hornchurch, you know, they're going to be very, very tough sides in a tough league. But I could go on about another half a dozen sides that are very, very strong.
But question though, I mean, I talk to everybody. I mean, was everybody surprised with that sponsorship deal? We you know, with the WWE. I mean, that's a real sort of feather in their cap, isn't it?
Good for them. I mean, yeah. I mean, they could have got some pizzas out of it, but don't want to be. But yeah, so if they got sponsorship and whoever, great for them, you know. But yeah, you know, I mean, that's. I think the more sponsorship you get right throughout the league, you would like to think that the facilities and the pitches and everything will be better, you know. So, you know, fair play to them.
Okay.
Yeah, no, like I said, Dave, I know you was all over it with their sponsorship. But yeah, listen, it was good publicity, wasn't it? I'm not too sure how it's going to benefit them in the long run, if I'm honest, apart from financially, which is the main thing. But you know, that was good for them. Also, you had a decent crowd as well over there, Craig, as well, didn't they? They had nearly 700 against you. So
it was the atmosphere was brilliant. It was obviously it's a local derby, only a couple of miles away. And I thought our support down there was brilliant, but the home support was terrific as well. And it just made for a really, especially like, you know, what we said with no crowds and no games and all that. That was it's been the highlight so far this season, crowd-wise and atmosphere-wise. Place was rocking. It was really good, really good.
It's a sort of question to all 3 of you, and obviously Stuart and Michael as well. How have you found the players adapt for the first time when the crowds would come back in?
We don't get money anyway.
I just think they've all embraced it. You know, I mean, funny enough, the game we had at home to Margate, most of our support is like a great, because we've got a great big group go behind the goal. They'd all gone to the Reading Festival. And, I suppose there's 20, 30 of them. But them not being there, honestly, it made such a difference. Without them there. And even they went to Brentwood on Saturday in the Cup, and they make a hell of a lot of noise. They're really good lads, and they support us through thick and thin. And them not being there on Saturday, I'm not making excuses for it, but we did miss them.
Have you adapted, Mike?
To be fair, like, we don't get massive crowds, so it's not. I wouldn't say it's really affected us as such. But it's always nice. It's always nice to have people there, just for the atmosphere and when you score as well. And then when you're shouting at the ref, the away fans to go back at you as well. It's always nice to have. But yeah, no, it's just. I think more than anything, I think everyone's just happy to get back to the routine. I think especially when you've been involved in football a long time, your routine is just, you do your Monday to Friday, including training and everything. You just look forward to getting to a Saturday and to play a game, and afterwards, like, you have a drink and all the rest of it. I think over the last year or so, I think that's what's been missed the most. It feels like we've lost the just that sort of consistency, what you're used to, especially when you're doing it year in, year out. Like, you must have been lost, Craig, because you've been doing this like at least 200 years or something like that,
It's my 5th year.
Yeah, all right.
I mean, Mike. How have you found the new league?
No, do you know what? It's interesting because there's sort of half a dozen teams that obviously we know who came over with us. And then you kind of, once the league was made, then we tried to get out and, like, through pre-season, try and watch a couple and things like that. But it's difficult because there's a lot of teams who haven't had the chance to watch. You try and, get videos and stuff like off YouTube, but there's only so much you can do, when you're not a professional side. So a lot of it is almost like we're kind of learning as we go against some teams, and just making sure that you've got your notes and everything. Obviously, the league we'd been in before was not. It was a little bit easier in terms of preparation because we put away so much notes and everything. Like, like how teams play, the formations that they might use. You're familiar with the players. Whereas it's a lot of the players, like, you're familiar with them until you're actually in there with them. But at the same time, I'm sure it's the same for the other teams when they come up against us. So it's still early days. It's not the start we were looking for. But again, like, it's only 4 games in. We didn't play on the weekend because we was out of the cup, But then, like I said to the boys when we trained Saturday, like, we're a little bit down in the dumps because we felt we should have won on Bank Holiday Monday, but then we got Saturday, Tuesday, and all of a sudden you get 6 points from that, and then all of a sudden the table looks different, and the momentum in the camp is different as well. So that's what we're looking forward to now, really.
Stuart, yourself with your league,
yeah.
Stuart. I mean, you're in the same league, of course, as Michael and my boys at Arlo. So, I mean, is that the league that you was in originally? And if so, what's that like now? Having to come up against sort of 5 or 6 brand new sides that you've never played.
Yeah, exactly the same as Michael. I think we obviously lost the Birmingham sides, who we've got to know quite well over the last 2 or 3 years, and what you're going to get when you go up there. With the 6 sides that have come in well from Abbey Harlow, where we haven't had much to do with sides down that way, other than sometimes in a trophy or an FA Cup competition. So it's different. It's slightly different, but very much same as Michael. It makes preparation a little bit harder because you don't have necessarily the network. We've obviously got the networks where we are, so you can do that preparation before games with the people that around the game. When you've got 6 sides in that you haven't had much to do with, it just makes it a little bit more difficult. It's just so unfortunate for us that 3 of the 4 sides we've played, we haven't played for sort of 2 or 3 years. So we've had a disappointing start. You know, we've got total belief in the lads that we've got. There's no doubt that we're happy with the squad of players. It just needs to bit of time to gel. And when I say gel, it's not you know, we've got quite a settled squad really. It just takes a little bit of time just to get back into playing competitive football again. You know, we came back in March when restrictions were lifted, and we had a few sessions and had 4 or 5 friendly games, just to try and give a bit of an impetus for pre-season starting, so that we were going from a bit of a running start rather than starting completely again. That was good for us. You know, we were playing some nice football towards the end, but it's friendly. It's nothing like competitive football. It's nothing like league action when, you know, those first few sort of 4 or 5 games, you know, everyone's running around and trying to feel their way. It's just, so yeah, it's been difficult, but like everyone else, it's just nice to be back playing again. I mean, that's we've obviously all missed it. The routine of, like Michael says, of a Saturday, you kind of get a little bit lost when you haven't got that routine, and that's what a lot of lads work towards for the weekends to get back out there. And so yeah, it's just great to be back. Disappointing start, but we're certainly not getting too carried away with it all.
Well, I know that. I mean, I know that the side that both my side and Michael's side have played, but they look a bit tasty. It's Bedford Town.
Well, Bedford. I mean, Setchell up at Bedford. He's got obviously a very strong budget, which obviously helps. He's got some really good players. We know them quite well. We've always done quite well against them. Actually, we beat them at home first game of the season last year, and narrowly missed away and beat them the year before. So, in my mind, they're probably going to be the team to beat. Really, I think anyone that goes above Bedford will probably win the league. You know, with the resources they've got available to them, I think they're going to be particularly strong.
I mean, you're going against them, Michael. I mean, I was absolutely shocked when I saw that score come through at half time. I was like, where has that come from?
Yeah. No, do you know what? I mean, we didn't play particularly well on the day, but it was like, it's one of those days where everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. Like, I think, like, obviously it's easy when you're looking back on it, but in terms of like, because we went and watched them as well. I watched them in a friendly against Wealdstone, so we knew how they played. We had a game plan. We didn't really work towards the game plan. I think we got team selection wrong in certain areas on the day, which didn't help. And then when we got in at half time, we changed a few things. We started the second half a lot better. We scored. Then we got a sending off, which again just kind of froze everything again. So yeah, it was kind of everything. Yeah, it wasn't a great game on a whole, but again, that was kind of the first proper encounter we've had with them. So again, it was just towards the end, it was just more just note taking around them, what they do well, what can we do to stop it, potential things that we can get at them with. So we'll be looking forward for when we go back to their place for sure.
With all three of you, did any of you sort of lose any players from the 2 years you sort of without a full season? Sort of, did you have to sort of try and rebuild your squads, or some people decided they didn't want to play or move on, or were all the lads sort of all raring just to come back? Was your job fairly easy trying to re-sign them?
Well, from our point of view, we only lost 2, and one of them actually never had a game for us, Ronan the Bird. But I signed him, and I thought he could push us on to perhaps win it or get promoted last year, because we lacked that type of player, a finisher, and I was delighted to get him. He never actually played a game for us because COVID. He signed for us and everything, and then when we were closed down and the Conference South was playing, like a lot of teams, Billericay came in for him, and he signed for them, and he said, but I knew he wouldn't come back once he went there. You know, with the money they offered him and everything else, we wouldn't be able to compete. So that was a big loss for us. And we lost Anderson Pinto, who had scored 5 in 5 for us and was a very good player. So, but they were the only 2. But it's probably, in all the years I've done it, the easiest transition, because we had everyone there. We had the nucleus of the side. You know, I think we kept 16 of the 18. So they all knew how we played, and we have signed some very good players. You know, we brought in Kenny Charles to play up front, and it's very easy for players to slip into a settled side. And I've never really had anything like that in all the years. You know, all the years I was at Billericay, we had a new side every year. And that happened virtually every club I was at, you know. But so to be able to keep the squad together has been a huge bonus for us. And, you know, and I think it'll hold us in good stead.
Same for you, Mike?
The majority of the boys we wanted to keep were, to be fair, everyone was keen on staying. Obviously, like with our squad, we had quite an older squad. So we wanted to kind of bring the average age down a bit. So we have had a little bit of a revamp. We've probably got sort of 7 or 8 new players. So I think that takes a little bit of time to gel as well. They're still trying to like feel out the other players and vice versa, and feel us out as management and how we work and everything. But again, we've got some really good players that we kept, really good players that we brought in. So I know we'll be fine. I think it's just a matter of just a few more games, everyone getting used to each other. Because we've had some really good performances, but a little bit like Craig, where the performances are not matching the results, especially Romania on Bank Holiday Monday. How we didn't win that, I'll never know. But sometimes the ball just don't want to go in the goal for some reason. But so we've kind of had a revamp, but we're happy with what we've got. But it's like anything. If there's ever anyone out there to sort of help strengthen the team, it's whatever's best for the team, really. And that always has to.
And Stuart, the same for you?
Yeah, we've been very lucky. We've got a real loyal bunch of lads, and we always try and freshen it up every year with 2 or 3 additions. But generally, for the last 3 or 4 years, we've been pretty consistent with what we've had, which I think has helped a little bit. But then sometimes I think you need that freshen up with squads. I think it can become a little bit stagnant at times, and it's always good to get 3 or 4 new faces in that brings something else to the group, and that's what we've certainly done this year. So we haven't had any problems keeping the lads we want to keep and attracting those that we've tried to attract. But you know, as always, it's the financial constraints that we have to work under. That's difficult, and luckily the vast majority of the lads are loyal and they've stuck with us. So it's been pretty good, really.
With that as well, obviously next week is the first, I think, midweek fixtures, isn't it, for everyone? That sort of, when that first happens, that sort of gives you a bit of a buzz, doesn't it, where you start playing Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday. I know you've got a replay, I think, tomorrow night, Stuart, for the FA Cup, but that's when you sort of really get into the sort of the rhythm of the league, isn't it? I know, Craig, you played in the FA Cup last week, so you stopped in the league, but for the other 2, they've already had an FA Cup game, and I know you didn't play Michael on Saturday, but the first few weeks is a little bit stop-start for your league campaign, isn't it, until really the midweek fixtures kick in?
Certainly from our, sorry.
Go on, Stuart.
Sure.
No, I was just going to say, certainly from our part, I was hoping that they might load up the first sort of 2 or 3 months to try and get a few more games in early on. I thought I was expecting that. I was a little bit surprised there wasn't sort of more midweek games, but I suppose it's trying to find that balance. I mean, certainly next Tuesday, obviously we'll replay tomorrow night, and then we're at home next Tuesday. But for me, and I think the players will probably be the same. That those September Tuesday, Saturday games are always quite nice. It just seems, particularly if you're in a good run of form, you just want to keep the games coming thick and fast.
Yeah, with us, I was a bit surprised they didn't go Tuesdays, for the first three weeks of the season. But having said that, from purely from a managerial coaching side of things, I think it's been very, very good, because no matter, anyone who's ever done a pre-season with us will tell you they're really tough, and we do work. I mean, it's the fittest bunch I've ever had. But to be able to go Saturday to Saturday, particularly early in the season, I thought was a real plus for us. Touch wood, we didn't pick up any injuries. We could work on things, and it gave boys good recoveries, because I remember it's been seasons where we started the season on a Saturday and you got a game on the Monday, and it's been really, really hard for the boys. So I think once they go into Saturday, Tuesdays, they'll be more geared up for it, and they'll be stronger physically. So, you know, I think there's been a definite bonus to it from my point of view. But yeah, you know, you weighing against that, you just hope that the season gets completed and there's no problems either weather-wise, COVID-wise, or anything else, and we get a full season. If that's not a contradiction, but you know, so yeah.
Yeah, no. I thought, because when we ended up like last season, if you can call it a season, we were done by like sort of end of October. So when we did go back, it was like heavy Saturday, Tuesday. I did expect it. So again, like Stu and Craig, I was a little bit surprised it wasn't. Me personally, I prefer it just because I think it goes either way. You know, if you're winning, you just want the next game to come as soon as. And if you had a bad result, similar thing, you want to get to the next one as soon as, just so that sort of feeling isn't sort of lingering around the camp. You just got a chance to get out and get it right. So yeah, we're looking forward to it. Saturday, Tuesday, and then yeah, again, I think the main thing is we just want to get as many games done as soon as, because you just never know, really, do you? After the last 2 years, you're hoping we get to finish, but then there's part of me that's sort of like, oh, I don't know, do you know what I mean? If it's happened before, it can happen again type thing, but fingers crossed, that's just me being pessimistic.
So, I mean, with that, I was you talking about fixtures. I think one of the sets of fixtures that surprised me this year, especially with being in the Southern League, was, you know, you always get around the bank holidays and Boxing Day, you get like your local rivals, etc., etc. And I was quite surprised about it because the first thing I was expecting was, you know, over Christmas and maybe bank holiday, it was going to be Harlow, Waltham Abbey, or that sort of fixture. But it seemed a little bit weird this year that we didn't actually get possibly the team that you was expecting to get around Christmas time. Would you agree, Mike? Or
to be fair, ours ain't too bad. I'm pretty sure. I think on the 27th.
You've got FC Romania.
Yes, Romania, isn't it? And then on the 1st, I think, is it Hartford?
That's it, mate.
So for us, it's not. It's two relatively local games. I know normally we're normally where in and around that time, or Harlow. So there's not really much like difference in terms of travel. So we just don't want to travel. You just never really want to travel too far on a New Year. Do you know what I mean? On New Year's Day or Boxing Day or the day after, you want to be local. Just makes it a little bit easier for the players as well.
Oh, Stuart, who's your local derby in the league?
Well, there's probably two or three, really. I mean, obviously, Aylesbury United is one. Kidlington's probably the closest in terms of distance. You know, North Lee isn't that far away, and nor is Didcot really. But probably out of those, it's probably Aylesbury United, and we've got them on the 27th. So, and that's where we've been the last couple of 3 years. So that's pretty standard, to be honest. And then we've got Dunstable on the 1st. So again, pretty local. Away on the 27th, and then home on New Year's Day.
So, Stuart, I mean, tell us a little bit about the club. I mean, you know, a little bit for people that don't know Tame United. You know, give us a sort of bit of background around the club and you know, some of the unsung heroes in the club. I mean, you know, just give us a little bit about the club.
Yes, I mean, I've been there about 8 years now. Mark West is the manager. Mark West was a prolific goal scorer with Wycombe Wanderers. He sort of played the final few years of his career at Tame because he's local to Tame. I mean, it's just in terms of the way the club's developed over the last probably 7 or 8 years. You know, it's got something like 550, 600 kids from under sixes all the way through to the first team. During lockdown, we've had huge investment in a brand new all-weather pitch training area, being built sort of from December through till March. Floodlit, which is a game changer for us. We've got a small 3G area. We've got a floodlit grass pitch now. I mean, in terms of facilities, it's absolutely unrivaled in Oxfordshire and probably a little bit further. What we now have to do is obviously match the facilities with what we're putting out on a Saturday in the first team, which is a difficult one. But but so yeah, I mean, it's a small town. Catchment area is quite good, although you've got Oxford City as neighbours. We've obviously got Aylesbury, Kidlington, and some of the other Oxfordshire sides locally. So yeah, I mean, it's a club that definitely wants to progress. I think it's that balance, isn't it? Really, with trying to get to where you want to be, but not at the cost of the club not surviving. They've been in that position, years ago. They don't want to be in that position again, and everybody that's involved down there is committed for that not to happen. So yeah, obviously we've got aspirations. We know where we'd like to be. We've certainly got the facilities to be able to do that. It's really now about, as a business, and effectively that's what it is. It's a business that needs to stabilise. We need to look at what the revenue streams are like now that the facilities pretty much where we want it to be, and then we can start thinking about what that investment looks like, in terms of the football side, because I think we all accept that finance becomes a major part of it, and without it, you can't really get to where you want to be. But the thing about the word that we always use is it's got to be sustainable. We're not a club that's going to be relying on gates of 500 or 600 week in, week out. We just don't have that at the moment. That said, is that a possibility? You look at others around us, and when I was playing at Brackley Town, you didn't have the crowd anywhere near the crowds that you're getting now. They're in the Conference North and regularly getting 700-800 there. 15, 20 years ago, you would never have thought that would be possible. It's a club or a town of a similar size. So I think we're just being optimistic about what we've got in terms of facilities. We just need to keep building on that, and then hopefully over the next 3 or 4 years we'll be able to match with the facilities what we're putting out on a Saturday to try and get us to where we want to get to.
I mean, around the area though. I mean, is there sort of one side around the area that we talked about Bedford earlier on with people like Craig McKell-Smith playing for them, but is there one sort of super team around near you that is same sort of level, or
no, not really. No. I mean, obviously we've got Oxford City, but and then Oxford and Brackley. They're not that far away. They're probably 20 miles away, 25 miles away. But no, generally we're in that catchment area where there's us, Aylesbury, Kidlington, Northley, Didcot to a certain extent, and then you sort of drop down to the sort of the Binfield way and the sort of the North Berkshire areas. So there isn't one standout team around us, which in some ways probably helps us to some extent.
I mean, as the difference, with the changes in the league and the new teams coming in, I mean, is that made financial sense, for Tame, or is that or are we looking at going, well, that's costing us more going all the way down, say, like to Waltham Abbey, Harlow, Ware, and all that sort of area, or is it, has that made more sense to you that you're travelling that way?
To be honest with you, David, it actually makes little odds. I think when you actually work out the average travel or the cumulative travel over the season now, it's probably not much different to where we were before. I mean, we're right on that sort of western edge of the Southern League. Take Wantage slightly out of it, but we're sort of on that furthest west. We were going to Haleslow and Corby, go up to Yaxley near Peterborough. And now we're going the other way. We're going south and just north of the 25. So I don't think in terms of the financial impact, it hasn't had any financial impact on us in terms of distance. So no, I think there was a concern that we would get pushed further south, that we would be one of them. So going into the league that Bracknell are in. But that again, that didn't really make sense to me because obviously the new division that stepped forward was in the Northern Division, in the Northern Premier League. So it made sense to me that we would probably stay where we were and they would push the Birmingham side further north, which is effectively what's happened. So no, it hasn't had any adverse effect on us.
Stuart, when you see the sort of teams come over, sorry, Dave. When you see the teams come over, obviously, Mike's here, Wolverhampton. Did you sit there and think, oh, that's going to make our league harder, or did you sit there and think, oh, that could make it a bit easier for us?
Well, that's a difficult one because we didn't really know an awful lot about some of the sides. We knew who we were losing, and there was some, Corby, Hales Owen are two that jump out as sides that have got good backings and always very competitive. So some of the other sides, Sutton Coldfield, they went a couple of years ago. The Bedworth, again, they were always typical Birmingham teams, physical. They're well organised. So I don't think in one breath we were thinking, well, it's quite handy getting rid of Corby and Hales Owen, because they're always going to be two of the bigger hitters. But then you don't know. I didn't know much and don't still know a huge amount about some of the other sides. So in terms of what they've got available to him. So I think it's a difficult one to call, really. You hear lots of stuff, but obviously what you hear and the reality of it is sometimes very different.
What about you, Mike? What did you think when you got moved? Was you expecting it, and then was you like, well, I was quite happy in what we called the Jigsaw League because you was doing well and obviously and then you were sitting there thinking, oh, what's this going to be like?
Do you know what? We weren't too happy, just because we were kind of, obviously we'd been moved to the Southern, and we'd been there sort of 2-3 seasons. And then you're just kind of getting used to it, and then we got moved again. So initially we wasn't too happy, but then we looked at, as I said, like 5 or 6 come over with us, and then 1 or 2 that you kind of might have played against and things like that. And then again, there's some that you don't really know much about. So it was kind of say, if you felt it would work in your favour, if that makes sense. From what I know, the league is a lot more direct and physical than where we were, or than like the Ryman North. So we know roughly what we're going to be up against. But again, it's still quite, where it's the first season. I think it's like we're hoping to do well. But I think as well, realistically, it's more sort of feeling out where we are and how everyone is, sort of thing, and then picking on from there.
What about you, Craig? Like I said, because obviously, you're at Cheshunt, they've been in the north, but where Michael is at Waltham Abbey and obviously Dave at Harlow, you're sort of in that area that if it did change, obviously, if you didn't get promoted, that maybe, have you ever thought, they could put us in the Southern?
Well, actually, we had a similar experience a couple of years ago when they put us in the Div 1 South Central. And they were all basically, other than sort of when we went to the Abbey or Ware or place like that, they were all, or Harlow, they were all new teams to us. And I found it quite a good experience, because when I've been mainly in, when the teams that I'd played been mainly Essex, around that side, it was, and every game was a derby when we was in the north. When if we played Canvey, even though we were Cheshunt, all our players and all their players, it was, and they was like all derby games. And I thought it made it tougher. Going over there, they didn't know a lot about you. We didn't know too much about them, and it was just something new. I quite enjoyed it. So it wouldn't bother me going into any league. As long as it's in the upward direction.
Just looking at your league as well, Craig, obviously I know, and we'll ask the same to the other two gents in a sec, but we've always said how strong and competitive the Eastern Prem is, and there are loads and loads of teams now that can compete. Is there any ones that jump? I know you said about Hornchurch and that, but obviously from last year where you had the main competitors with Cray, I know Tony's gone to Lewis, so that adds another club with Lewis, but because Cray's had a very good start with Danny as well. Can you sort of see it, like you said, when you look at I'm looking at your fixtures coming up, and you sit there and think, well, they've got a chance of promotion, they've got a chance of promotion, they've got a chance of promotion. Is that, that's well, as a club for Cheshunt, you're in with some big hitters, didn't you?
I did an interview prior to the season started, and I was absolutely genuinely truthful about it when they said, because usually you look at any division and you pick 3 or 4 teams and think, well, the winner's coming from that. But I had 11 teams that realistically you could think, well, they could win it. Enfield were good. you know, on Monday. I thought they were very good. Haringey got to a great start. Like you say, Cray, Lewis, we played Lewis away. You know, a good side. Cray, like I say, have started well. Folkestone, I've looked at Folkestone, a few of their games, the highlights, they look tremendous going forward. And and to be fair, and that's the first game up in it, but they battered Worthing. And I think Worthing are a very good side. And you've got Horsham, you know, there's just so many sides, you know, and it's, I think it's fantastic. Every game is a challenge. Every game's a big battle. You know, whether you play the teams that are favoured to be in perhaps the bottom six, you know that you're not going to go there. It's to give me 3 points. That you're going to have to work really, really hard, and they're really tough games. So it's a very, very competitive league, and yeah, I'm just pleased to be managing in it because it's like I say, every game you look forward to. You know, they're all going to give you different problems, and you have to be better than them to come through it. You know, so it looks like a cracking season to me.
It looks so weird, you know. You look at that. So I'm saying you look at that league, Craig, and surely some of those smaller sides, that you would expect maybe to be, so we say, to the bottom end of the league, and is at least one of them. And I'm not going to mention the name, but one of those teams has shot up the league and has got quite a few points on the board already.
Brightly, Steve.
You said it, not you said it, not me. But
because I'd put us in that. We was in that category last year. On the first day of the season, I got a text from my brother. He said, "You seen your odds?" I said, "No, we were 80-1, bottom. We were down to finish bottom." And this year we went up to sort of 25-1. So obviously they've had a rethink, the bookies. But like I say, I mean, Brighton and Sea, I would put us in the same sort of category as Brighton and Sea, as Wingate, as Potter's Bar, but they're all good teams, and you're going to have a real tough game with any of them. And they've all got good managers, they've all got ambitious managers that want to do well, and they're all tough games. We played East Thurrock the first game, and people were saying, "Oh, it's a good game, first game up," because they were expected to be in perhaps the bottom end of the division. And it was a game I didn't want to about 10, 11 games in, because I know Magic well, and I know his teams, how they're going to battle, and it's going to be really tough. And the first game of the season, you're always apprehensive about it, because it's like a cup final. But, we won it really well. And then you get all the usual stupid comments. "Oh, how bad," it's because how bad they were. They were rubbish and this, that, and the other. They haven't lost a game since, So it just shows you how tough the league is,
also shows you how bad the bookies are. Because I don't know if Mike remembers, but when I got promoted at Thamesmead, and we were really small, we were odds on favourites to win the Ryman Prem, and I was like, "What's that?" I think we signed obviously Michael Power and obviously John Mayne, and all of a sudden the bookies put us like 3-1 on to win it, and I was like, "Do you know where Thamesmead is?" It took me ages to persuade Mike to come over and find out where it is. But, so they don't get it right all the time.
No.
But, guys, I mean, we were talking about, changing the leagues and moving the leagues about. So does that, if you have a really good season or you used to have a poor season, are you concerned then that where you might be? So say the two guys at step 4, I mean, would you be concerned about what step 3 league you're going to be in? And then Craig, if, worst case scenario, in your step 3, would you worry about what step 4 division you would be in? I mean, does that sort of even cross your mind? I'm thinking, so well, if I do get promoted, where am I going to go? Am I going to go back into the Isthmian Prem? Am I going to go into the Southern Prem? Or does that sort of worry you that you could have one season sort of maybe in the Southern and be moved somewhere else?
We go into the National South, I'll be over the moon. We ain't going down. There's no chance at all, I tell you now, of us going down to step 4. No disrespect to the lads, because that ain't happening. So, so I'll leave the rest to the boys.
No one's going to argue with him, Stuart, don't I? Nobody's.
I mean, for us, that's obviously where we want to be. We want to be at step 3. We'd be looking at the Southern Central with the likes of Banbury So that's where we'd want to go. And no, we're not worried about that. That's where we want to be. But it's just got to be right for us when, if and when we do get to that position.
Right, where do you think you'd end up? Could be anywhere, mate.
Yeah, who knows?
You've seen the way where he runs. He could end up anywhere when he runs.
See, I'm just going to start running to games now. No, do you know what? With us, we just hope in an ideal world we got to the Prem. Again, just because it's a league that I know well, just having played in it a long time, and then it'd be good to go head to head against Craig again. Hopefully they go up and then we'll chase them up to the Conference South. But just hopefully we go up to the Prem. But if we didn't and we got moved sideways or anything, you just deal with it as it comes. We just want to win, and if it's a good problem to have, if we've got promoted and we're going into a league that we don't want to go in, I'd rather have that than be in the same one next.
What would be the easiest one for you to go into, travelling wise, though, Mike? Would it be the Southern Prem, or would it be the Isthmian Prem? Which one would be the easiest one to go to? I mean, Stuart might be able to tell us that. I mean, where would you go in? Because I think there's two, isn't there? So I mean, where are we going to go in? Where are you going to get put? I mean, travelling wise.
Well, Dave, you should know this, because I don't know if the others know, but because of Harlow, and obviously I see some of your fans for them, because I think they put me on it after commentating on some of your games. After a few of your pre-season results, they were actually looking at the Prem going, I think we'd do well there next year. I thought they sort of counted their chickens a bit before you even kicked a game. So you should know exactly where they'd all go, wouldn't you?
Yeah, Premier South. But I was just
well, there you go then.
but I mean, in all fairness, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen either. But Premier South or Isthmian. I mean, what would be the best? Do you feel, Mike, for Waltham Abbey?
For Waltham Abbey, I think the Isthmian, again, just because it's a league that, I mean, Waltham Abbey haven't been there for a long time. I remember when I was at Hornchurch, I remember they went up one year and then came back down. So it's a league that they have been in. But if you look at the teams that are in there and the players, it's teams that we obviously know and players and managers that we know. So it's a little bit more familiarity. So again, it would be a little bit easier in terms of preparation, and good to go back to some grounds that we haven't been at for a long time.
What you're trying to say, though, is that you don't particularly want a Tuesday night in Truro.
Ideally, not. If it comes because we've got promoted, then I'll take that all day.
Stuart, would you go into the central or would you go into the south?
I don't know really. I'm just having a look at it now. I'm not quite sure. We're probably right on the border of that, to be honest. I think it would very much depend on what the other movements are as to where they put us. But they could put us either north or in the central or the south. I think from a personal perspective, looking at them as it is at the moment, I'd probably prefer the south. Just because it gives us those local derbies with Beaconsfield, Chesham. Take out Truro, but the rest of them will the rest of them look not too bad. That'd be a nice dilemma. That would be a nice dilemma to be worrying about.
But that's some trip, though, isn't it? Going down to there. Have you been fortunate enough or unfortunate enough, depending on which way you look at it, to go down to Truro?
Yeah, I have. I've played down there before. Yeah, I only just got back.
Listen, that ain't as bad as going to Guernsey. That ain't as bad as Guernsey, mate.
No.
And also, like I said, VCD had to go to Jersey at the weekend, and I believe that they had to stay over the night before, Dave, and they had to be at Gatwick at 4:30 in the morning to do COVID tests to get their flight, and then to get obviously over there 3 hours before kickoff and come back. And the Guernsey thing, as people say, a lovely club, and I love the people over there. It's a hell of a long day. I don't know, but Mike, you've never done it, have you yet?
No, thankfully.
No, you missed that. So, like I said, lovely people. But just gents, obviously, I know, Mike, you didn't play in it at the weekend, but Craig and Stu, just tell us about your FA Cup games over the weekend. And I know, Stu, you got a replay tomorrow, but tell us how that went for you and your draws you both got.
Well, we played Brentwood, and I knew it was going to be a tough game. Obviously, I know Flanners really well. And going back to how long I've been in it, he's just run away now. But he's a manager played for me, and so is Flanners, you know. And but we actually played them in a pre-season game, and I thought they were really decent, you know. And I knew it was going to be a tough game, and it was a tough game. But I thought we actually we couldn't have played it any better, really. You know, I thought we really limited them to anything, and I felt, you know, we were the only winners, and worst ways they would come back to us. But we scored 2 good goals. Probably should have scored more, but yeah, we're really pleased with the performance. When you go away in the cup, and you know it's a tricky away side, the division below side in the division below, I couldn't have asked for a more complete performance in that regarding that type of game. And yeah, I thought that was terrific. And regarding Hitchin away, I know the manager, but I'll be honest with you, I don't know too much about the side at all. They're in the Southern Prem, but it could have been a lot better when I look at the teams in there. But it could have been a hell of a lot worse. You know, they're at our level. It's away. It's not a million miles away, so it should be a great day for us and the fans. You know, so yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Stuart?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Margate was a tough draw for us away. It's a long way. Obviously they're in a league above. We knew it was going to be difficult. We went there with a game plan, and as I said, you know, unfortunately I wasn't there I was at a wedding on Saturday. But having seen the video and speaking to the lads, they executed the game plan really well. And you know, 1-0 up, then it went back to 1-1 and went 2-1 up, and then conceded in the 92nd minute. So I think, you know, it's always frustrating when you concede like that. But I think on the balance of the game and the opportunities, it was probably about the right result from what I understand. But it just gives us the ability then to go again at home. You know, we'll approach it in the same way. We'll have maybe a slightly different game plan tomorrow night. But no, we're just pleased to have come through that. We've got a full squad for tomorrow night. We'll be ready for it, and hopefully we can just make a decent tie of it. Because those that were there, I think it was a really good cup tie. You know, and I think both sides play some good football. Margate are obviously strong. We know that. But yeah, we can go. We've got another chance tomorrow night, and it's about time we had a decent cup run, because the FA Cup hasn't been particularly kind to us. We always seem to be away from home, and yeah, again, we get, you know, if we get through tomorrow night, and we obviously concentrate on that now, but then we're away to Mersham in the next round if we get there. But we'll worry about that after. We'll get through tomorrow first, and then we'll start thinking about that.
Keith, I mean, yourself though, FA Cup wise, you know, when you was in it and managing in it, I mean, what was the best sort of place you had in that? You know, how far did you get?
Well, I can't remember, Dave. It seems ages ago now, since I think Michael might have played for me the last time I managed. Yeah, like I said, the FA Cup always gives you a little bit of a buzz. You know, a couple of times you get bad draws, and obviously, like I remember years ago going down to Tame. It was with Thamesmead. It was before Michael's time there as well. But yeah, like it is great for the club. Like I said, I watched Phoenix's last 2 games. To be honest, I watched them play Punjab United in the round before, and then I watched them play Chipstead on Saturday, and just to see the buzz and the massive finances it gives the club and the players, it can spark your season, and you know, and as we've seen over the years with Malden and etc., you know, teams at step 4 and 3 and can get a really good run in it if they get a decent draw. And you know, I know that Phoenix have got either the winners of Red Hill or Mickey Collins' Sevenoaks in the next round at home. So that the time's been, you know, the draw's been kind for both of the sides if they get there. But I just think it makes you sit there and think, yeah, the season's back, and it gives you a buzz. And I know, like I said, Mike went out at the round before. but but I know with Craig and Mike, they've both played in it and managed in it and done really well. And it is something that the lads look forward to. And in pre-season, that's the first fixture you look at. Who we got in the FA Cup and the trophy.
I mean, guys, yourselves. What's the furthest the three guys have got? Stuart, what's the furthest you've got in the FA Cup?
Just trying to think now. Just trying to think what round it was. I think it was the third or fourth qualifying round. Come back to me. I'll put my thinking. I can't remember. I actually can't remember. There's been so.
I know
I
Craig's.
can't remember.
What's that? First, we've been there first round about 4 times. But the work best probably at Port Vale, where we drew up there. They were in Div 1, unbeaten. I think they were third in the league. And Brian Alton was a manager. And to be fair, we were unbelievable that day. And it was 2-2, hit the underside of the bar. And in injury time, that was. And he said we're lucky to be in the cup. Had the replay at Ford. Now, I don't know if you've ever been over to Fords, but we had nearly 4,000 there in the night. I think the capacity was about 2. And they beat us in extra time with an own goal when they'd just gone down to 10 men in extra time. And they were sort of hanging on to penalties, and fellas gone down the side, whipped a cross in. They didn't have anyone in the box, and my centre half's racing back, headed it in top corner. And it was devastating. They went on to, I think they played Chelsea third round, and you think, what if, and all that sort of thing. I think they all. So, I think Scunthorpe. They played Scunthorpe in the next round, and then the winners that played Chelsea. I can't remember, but it was. And the funny thing is, when I speak to my ex-players and that, it's, and we talk about the old days, if we have a reunion drink and everything else, and invariably the subject comes out if we've had a good cup run. There's nothing like a run in the FA Cup, and even up until the last couple of years, I'd get the odd email or letter from supporters of Port Vale that they were unbelievable to us, really, really incredible. And getting a run, and I haven't had one at Chesham. We got to the third and fourth round, but it's the third qualifiers virtually every year, but we've never sort of managed to go beyond that. And that would be a real big ambition this year to try and get in that first round and maybe even beyond. And you've seen with clubs now that, how well they can do. Hornchurch in the trophy, incredible. Teams, I know it was like the Caleys when they was at Lincoln at the quarterfinal of the FA Cup, and to have runs like that, it's just, they're with you for your life. You can't deal. And what Hornchurch experienced last year, and what, like I say, Lincoln did with the Caleys, they'll never experience that in their lives again. So they give you special memories, the FA Cup, and hopefully we can progress. But every team that's in the second round will be thinking the same.
Michael,
as a player, the furthest was the fourth qualifying round. So I think that was my last season at Hornchurch. We got to the fourth qualifying round, and then we got Hereford at home. So when Hereford were in Conference Prem, we were down to 10 men for most of the second half, but it was 0-0. And I just remember thinking, we're going to go up there on Tuesday. And then last minute, I'm sure Lino he just, because they were higher league, man, he was offside, but he didn't flag. So he's come down, crossed it, scored.
Them sodding refs, I tell you, they do ya.
They always favour the bigger teams. But then, we've
I won't have a word said about them.
So we've so then they beat us 1-0, and then I remember they done the when they do the draw on the Sunday, BBC, and Hereford ended up, they were away to, I think it was Burton Albion, and that game was live on BBC. So we would have been live on the BBC. So that's the first I've been as a player, as a manager. I think only the first or second round. I've only been obviously managing for a couple of years. So I'm sure in another few years we'll get right down deep in there. Had a decent trophy run with Hornchurch, but it doesn't seem so decent now because obviously I just don't really talk about that one. But we got, when was it? The year we got promoted, actually, the year we won the playoffs, we went to, I think it was the second round, I think it was, and we was away to Grimsby. That was the year Grimsby had come down from League Two. So obviously they were in the trophy, and we went up there. We got battered on the day, to be fair, but it was just the atmosphere, and we went and done the overnight. So we went up on the Friday, and you go there on the Saturday, and it's one of them old school sort of stadiums where everything's closed in. All the fans are like right on top of you. Ball goes out, and the fans are throwing you back the ball and things like that. But again, like Craig said, even like those little things, that's what we play for, you know. And just so when you finish playing, you can have these stories you tell like your mates and kids and your grandkids and nephews and all the rest of it. So yeah, hopefully in years to come, have a few better managerial stories around the FA Cup anyway.
With what you mentioned, sorry mate, you mentioned obviously Hornchurch winning the trophy, and Craig obviously the same level, same league, and obviously Mike, I know you played for him for a long time. Does that give all three of you hope that, you know, hold on, the last couple of years teams at our level have gone really far in it and obviously now won it?
Yeah. Definitely.
Can I interrupt you there?
Go on, Gaffer.
Right. I want you to, that's Keith and David, start a campaign, right? Because one of the best memories I've had was we actually beat Cambridge City in the fourth qualifying round when we went to Port Vale, and we went in their clubhouse, and the draw was on live for the first round on a Saturday evening. Now, whether it's on the radio for the non-league or whatever, what could be better than a Saturday night after an FA Cup round? Instead of doing it Monday afternoon in their offices, they do the draw, whether it's on the radio, on the TV, whatever, for the first qualifier, second qualifier, third qualifier. The clubhouses would be full. It would be such an atmosphere to have it pulled out, because that was, as my memories of all those games when we got to the first round was waiting for that draw. And the draw was fantastic. Even today, you know, I waited for the draw to come out, and then I scrolled through it all and waited. I don't want to take anyone to tell me. I scrolled through it and I said, "Oh, got itching," you know, and it's the excitement of it. And
do you remember, Craig? I tell you what, we will do that. You'll be, you know, you definitely remember it. Obviously, Mike and that won't. But it used to be live on the telephone. Do you remember? You used to ring in.
No.
There was there you go. That shows how much I've been there. Hey, Mark, it used to be like not a club call. It used to ring up, and it would be live on the phone. The actual draw. Wow. You used to be able to listen to it there. But you're right. But listen, Dave's better off doing that campaign, because we all know what happened the last campaign I tried to start up. The refs still hate me. But going with that, I see a brilliant referee on Saturday, Dave. Had a great performance, so I'm going to mention that today. Before, really good.
Referee, young lady, I've never heard of it like in refereeing at our level before, and he'd done ever so well Saturday. Very good. But there seems to be a lot of young, which is, I think, is a good sign. A lot of young lads coming into it now, you know, that seem clued up, and you know, and you know, I know we're going to have a few rascals this year, but I think they've, in, you know, early season, they generally can't wait to get their cards out. We've had one card in 5 games, one yellow card.
I was going to say that. I was going to ask all three of you. The games that I've watched, and I've watched quite a lot, believe it or not, they seem to let quite a lot more go.
It's got to be better. You know, it was pathetic how it was before. You know, I don't think the players helped. I think, you know, people are diving around, and you get teams and managers screaming for cards and all that. And I think it's the worst thing that's happened to football in this country. You know, and hopefully that's a thing of the past, and we can start, you know, if you like, playing proper football, and and going from there. But it's nothing worse than when you're getting just soft yellow cards all the time. And the referees that feel they ref it by sticking their card out instead of controlling the game. But like I say, I mean, I've been really, really pleased with the standard this year. I've had no major gripes in any of our games. And, so fingers crossed they're moving in the right direction.
Mm.
We're talking about referees, and I know, she gets a mention on there quite a few times, but of course the lady Abby Byrne that was actually refereeing in our leagues a couple of seasons ago was refereeing at our level and in the Isthmian League, and of course she had the privilege at the weekend to be the first referee to be refereeing a game live on Sky for the actual WSL. So massive congratulations to her on that being able to go from our sort of level and now actually being part of the WAFA list, and also being the first lady referee to referee in the WSL on Sky TV. So it was a great achievement.
Yeah, no, she's done well. Unfortunately, I must have missed that game. It wasn't on my record list. But she has. I know you rate her really highly, Dave. But it's good to see it. And like Craig said, I think a lot of the referees that I've seen this year have been a lot younger and obviously, keen to get back into it themselves.
Mm. Have you noticed that yourself, Stuart, as well?
Yeah, well, I certainly noticed that the referees are getting a lot younger, but I think that's probably because we're all getting a lot older. But no, I think I think the standard of refereeing has definitely improved over the last couple of years. A mate of mine who's on the Premier League, he's one of the FIFA match officials, and I know they do a lot of work with these young lads coming through and ladies coming through, and the mentoring scheme seems to be working quite well. And I agree that it's long overdue that football is allowed to. You should be allowed to tackle. We've got to stop this rolling around and screaming for, like you say, for yellow cards. It's not what I was used to. It's not. I don't like seeing it, and it certainly seems to be a little bit better. We've still got a little way to go, but I think we're moving in the right direction.
We just had a message coming from Steve Curtis. Go back to the FA Cup. He's put on here that Milden Hall, who of course used to play in the Isthmian Norths as well with us. Basically, they beat Step 3 side Royston 2-1 in the FA Cup at the weekend as well.
That's a good result for them.
Great result.
Mm. So especially with Royston, I think they did really well, didn't they? Last year in the the trophy, they did really well, didn't they? Yeah.
Mm.
We played them a couple of years ago in the trophy, and they absolutely battered us. They were quality. Steve Castle's there, isn't he?
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So looking at your games for the weekend, Craig, who you got, and obviously
we've got Merstham at home. So should be a tough game, but we'll be looking to go and get 3 points and get us back. Well, it's not like we've been off track. We lost one in the 5, but we've got to start turning our performances into wins in good wins. So yeah, I mean we should have it. I think we've only got a couple out, but we've got a strong squad, and I'm confident with what we got.
And your Tuesday night game?
Well, we're actually going over to Welling tomorrow for a friendly.
See that.
And then next Tuesday we go to Potter's Bar, which is always a difficult place to go. And we've had some ding dongs with them over the years, and it just seems like every team we play, the manager used to play for me. And Leo used to play for me at Kingstonian, and he's I knew what he was like as a player. Lee, he was a very tough competitor, a winner, and he's got his side sort of playing the same way. They're always difficult to beat.
I might actually pop over tomorrow, Craig. You're down the road from me.
Okay, look forward to it.
Yeah. Mike, who you got the weekend and Tuesday?
Going to Goodwood tomorrow. Sorry.
Racing.
Yeah. Going to Goodwood and then straight down to Welling. Go on, Mike. Sorry, mate.
That's all right. We're away to Ware on Saturday. So yeah, nice little local derby. and then we're home to Aylesbury on Tuesday. So where we know obviously a bit more about will be on the Astro. We watched them the other day. They were away to Hertford, and they were down to 10 men. And then they nicked it right at the end. So we'll go into that game confident. To be fair, we always do well, especially when we go over to where on the Astro. We've always done well going over there. So we'll go there confident. And as I said, we just want to come away 6 points from them 2 games, and then all of a sudden, as I said, the feel in the camp is a little bit different, and then gives us momentum to build and push on.
Stuart?
We're at home to FC Romania on Saturday, and then we've got Wantage away on the Tuesday night. So I don't know much about FC Romania at all, to be honest. Obviously, we know Wantage, we've played against them over the last 3 or 4 years quite regularly. So no real surprises with them. But FC Romania on Saturday don't know an awful lot about them, to be honest.
Well, I watched them in pre-season. Obviously, Michael played them bank holiday, didn't you, Mike?
Yeah, we had them Monday. Yeah.
And they grand share with you, Craig, don't they?
Yes, they do. As it happens, it's a really good ground share. You know, it's, every time I've had a ground share, there's been a lot of animosity between the clubs, but they're great. You know, I get on really well with them. So, yeah. I can't wish you well, Stu.
In all fairness here, but it sounds a little bit like these 2 guys could, especially if you beat Margate tomorrow. Craig can help you out with Mersham, still playing them at the weekend, and Michael can help you out with FC Romania. So you'll be
I was just thinking that actually, and then I can help Michael out with Aylesbury. So it goes.
Everyone's the winner.
Yeah.
Anyone help me out with a job?
We've got Didcot and on Tuesday night away to Didcot, and then at home to Welling Garden City on Saturday.
I can tell you about Welling Garden City because Nicky Ireland's teams are always the same. We played them first game of the season, and you know they're a side that have done well over the last 2 or 3 years, pretty well organised.
I watched them pre-season as well. They were strong.
Yeah. He's got a settled side. You know, he's got pretty much the same side that have been there for a little while now.
And of course, we know a fellow manager from Welling, don't we? Dean Barker, that used to manage them as well. That used to be helping us out, not the glass off. But I mean, with those sort of games, I mean, with the games you've got, I mean, over the next week or so, I mean, are they games you expect to win, you guys, or the tough games, or what do you expect from those games? I know Michael said he's hoping for 6 points, but I mean, Sean, what are you hoping for from them?
Stuart.
Sorry. Well, I mean, again, we don't know. I mean, let's be honest. The start we've had, we need to be winning. We've got to start winning. So, we've got to be better at home. So FC Romania is a game we've got to win, and certainly Tuesday away at Wantage, they've had a similar start to us. So that it's games that you target definitely. I'm not going to sort of shy away from it. They're games that we should be. And again, I don't know much about FC Romania, but certainly the Wantage game is a game we're going to be everything we can to win it. And then we're away to Bedford the following week. So if we don't get something out of the next 2 games, you won't be speaking to me again.
Craig, can I ask you a question? And obviously the other 2 lads can chip in as well. Do you know that you normally?
I'm going to have to scoot.
Go on, Stuart.
I've got something at 20.
No problem, mate. Thanks. All the best for the season, mate. But take care.
I'll see you, Michael, on the 27th of November. I'm not quite sure when to see you, David, but won't be long.
That's right, no. Yeah, no worries.
It's that month. Craig, just normally, do you know we normally say, you don't normally sort of look at the season until after 10 games. And you get a judge and things like that. We've obviously the 2 breaks we've had over the 2 seasons. Do you think that's sort of maybe stretch a little bit more now to sort of 15 games, or a little bit more after Christmas? Because sort of teams for the first 4 or 5 have sort of took it a little bit rusty to getting into the swing of things.
Yeah, well, like classic example, really, 2 of the sides that I really expect to be in the top 3, 4, Worthing and Hornchurch, probably haven't had the greatest starts. Bishop Stortford were very favoured, and they got a very, very strong squad. I think they're third, fourth, bottom. You know, so it might take longer, but you know, there's no telling that after 15 games that you're going to find these games any easier, because I think that the games are very, very tough. You know, so yeah, you know, I think it's going to be, like I say, a competitive season right the way through. I think that it's so competitive that I think even after 20 games, if you had a team that was 8 or 9 points clear, there's every chance they could get reined in, because every game's difficult, and I could see any team being able to lose 2 or 3 on the bounce in this league, you know, as well as put a run together. And like Michael said, 2 or 3 wins and the whole picture changes for any team, and they'll all be thinking that. And it's a tough league, but like I say, I mean, it's one that I really embrace. You know, I love it, the competitive nature of it and the quality of it. You know, and I do think that the quality this year, and I'm sure I speak for most of the teams in the division, when I was delighted that Hornchurch won it, because it showed the quality in the league. And when, you know, I see the interview with Stimo, and it was, you know, typical, a little bit patronising how well they'd done to get there and all this and the other. He said, look, listen, our league is very, very strong. They were 8th when it got cut off, the league, and they win the trophy, you know, and it's madness for someone to be 8th in our league and win the, you know, basically the FA Cup and non-league. Just speaks for the league itself. And yeah, so it's like I say, it's a league that I love it, because every week I'll be relishing the game ahead, because I know it's going to be a tough game.
But do you think with the trophy, though, do you think that we're going to see a lot more of that in the coming years as well, with the sort of like the National League sort of being more sort of like everybody giving everything they possibly can with the money inside that league to get promoted into Division 2? Do you think a lot more of those sides are going to start concentrating more on doing that, and then doing a bit like the Premier League sides doing the FA Cup, where they play sort of a weakened side, and then that way round there'll be a lot more people at sort of steps 4 and so 3 and that actually coming up and taking that trophy?
Not really. I don't really go along with that, because, you know, I know what you're saying about the FA Cup. It's been diluted because a lot of the teams, they don't put their strongest teams out, but invariably it's one of 5 sides that are going to win it, you know, and whatever side they put out, they're going to win it. And it's the same. I think they'll want to win it. And I think that when you sort of say that, I mean, I don't think anyone, the sides when Hornchurch was having their run and they was getting through, I don't think they played anyone who put out weakened sides. No. And, you know, so I just think the quality of football in this country is incredible. And you know, there's not a country in Europe, in the world, that's got a pyramid like ours. You know, and I had players come over from abroad and they've played Div 2 in Spain and everything, and thinking, and they're nowhere near it. You know what I mean? And you think to yourself, well, because they don't realise that, you know, we're playing at we'll sit the 7th tier of English football, and the quality is incredible. You know, you go in the Conference South and there's so many good players, and in the Premier, in the Conference National. So it's all really, really tough. But Hornchurch going and winning it, it's just showing it was like really saying that the quality of the football in this country right the way down is fantastic. And I think that I mean, we you know, if we was to get past Hitchin and you draw a step 4 side in the following round and you're away, you know 100% that is a tricky, tough tie. It's not one that, like a give me, that you're going to go and win it. And that's the beauty of football in this country. You know, Michael, in his division, he knows he's not going to walk away with a division. He knows there's no team going to walk away because it's so competitive, and it's no different from our division. You know, and it's something that I love about the football in this country. That you know, I mean, even you go into Scotland, Wales, places like that, and you know who's going to win their league basically every year. So it's not like that at any level in this country.
No, that's right. Even in the pyramid, you could try and list, you know, the Eastern North South, you wouldn't be able to say, well, they're definitely going to win that, and you're 100% right. But in a lot of other leagues, you do.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
so Mike, I suppose go with yourself. I mean, tell us a little bit about your journey, shall we say, over the last month or so, and let people know what it was all about, and the people that don't know, and and you sort of tell us about the journey itself, how difficult it was, and some days in that you had on that journey.
We talking about the running now, yeah?
Yeah, we're talking about your running.
Yeah, no, do you know what? More than anything, it's like, don't get me wrong, like you like my calves, my hips started giving me some mag, and my knees, like my joints were aching. But mentally, that was the toughest thing. Just mentally knowing, like, that you had to get up and go again the next day. Do you know what I mean? I remember, I think it was the 17th, my wife's birthday, 17th of August. So I got up at midnight and I thought, let me just fly through 17 miles as quick as I can. Just I can get back in at whatever, 3-4 o'clock and relax for a little bit. Just lay in the bed for a little bit because we're going to go off to work during the day. And I remember finishing that and like just thinking, I don't think I can get up tomorrow. Like, I don't think I can go and do 18 the next day. But then it's weird, like, you just, like, the alarm would go off, I'd wake up and I'd just be like, I've got to get up. Shoes go on, I walk for a little bit, then I start running, and then once I start moving, I'm in my stride, and then I was all right. I think, like, people say I'm crazy because a lot of the running I do at like 2, 3, 4 in the morning, but I prefer it because nothing's on the road, so I can just run on the roads. There's no traffic, it's not stop and start. As I got deeper, and certain days I had to do it in the evenings, then it started to get really tough. And then you get into like a traffic light and you're trying to move, but you can't move how you was, and then you can feel like your legs are getting really, really heavy and things like that. And then like standout days, like the 29th of August, my good friend got married. I was a groomsman on the day. So we played on the Saturday at Waltham Abbey. Also, like, this is how the day went. So I got up in the morning, done 28 miles. Then we've gone up. We've had a game at home. We've drew that. As soon as the game's finished, I've hung about in the club till 6. And I've had to shoot off to Brighton for the wedding. Got down there. But the wedding was on the Sunday. So I've got down there for the evening. My missus is already there. Everyone's like having a drink. Like, oh, the wedding's going to be lovely tomorrow. And I'm just looking at the area thinking, where am I going to do 29 miles? And then I've had to get up early. I got up about 4:30 on that morning, smashed out 29 miles, then slept for a little bit. Then I had to get up and get all my bits on groomsmen stuff and all that. Then we've done the wedding reception, gone to sleep, woke up and drove down to Romania on the Monday. We've played that game, finished that game, gone home, literally parked the car up, changed into my running bits, and just went out and done 30 miles. So it was mental. So, but for people who don't know what it was, basically I was just running as many miles as the day. So on the 1st of August, 1 mile, 2nd of August, 2 miles, 3rd, 3, and it goes right through to the 31st, which was last Tuesday gone, which was 31 miles. I was doing that for a charity, so the Cayenne Prince Foundation, which is, I don't know if you remember, there was a play. He played for QPR. He was in the academy, Cayenne Prince. I think he was 14 at the time, and there was like an altercation outside of his school. And he's just tried to stick up for one of his mates, basically, who was kind of getting picked on. And then the other person kind of took it as a disrespect, and then he stabbed him, and he just died on the scene. And then his dad set up the Cayenne Foundation, and they just kind of deal heavily around sort of engaging young people, trying to combat gun and knife crime. And I'm a London boy, born and raised. Fortunately, I haven't been in and amongst like knife crime like that, but you kind of people, or you've been in altercations where knives have been involved, that type of thing. So it's something that I am passionate about, and about children. So I wanted to do some type of challenge, and then I just thought if I could make some money for a charity, or sort of spread awareness alongside it, then that would be good. And that's kind of how the journey came about. And then I just thought, let me document it. And then as the days went by, I think people started to really take notice of what was happening. And even people stopped me. I was at a festival on Saturday because we didn't have a game, and people coming up to me and going, "Yeah, you're Michael. I saw you on Twitter. How are you here? How are you even standing?" And I don't know how I am, to be fair, but you got there.
So, Mike, just for the people, how many miles do you do in total?
496.
Wow.
So I worked it out. So basically, from London to Scotland, it's 470. So it's the equivalent of me running from London to Scotland, getting to Scotland, and then doing a marathon.
Wow. Craig, did he ever run that far for you? You're just on mute, mate.
No, he's going crazy as well. Unmute it, Gaffer.
Unmute yourself, Craig. So there'd be people. There'd be people going, "That's the best 30 seconds they've ever heard Craig speak." I tell you, I can lip read. He said about you flying up and down the wing.
I hope so.
No, I said I couldn't get him to run up and down the wing, let alone run to Scotland. But no, I fair play. I didn't even know, because I've sort of departed Twitter, but someone told me about it last week, and it's absolutely incredible. And fair play to you. That is an amazing achievement. And and I'm sure it's something that you're really proud of, and a lot of people are proud of you who know you, that you've done it. Because it's fantastic.
Yeah. And Mike, just for the course, have you got a Just Giving page you want to put out? And obviously Dave will put it out on the show for people to contribute, because it's obviously an unbelievable thing that you've just done for a great worthy cause.
Yeah, no, for sure. I don't what I'll do. I'll send it, Dave. So if you can just post it up, because I don't know how to say it off the top of my head. But it's as I said, initially, I just think people kind of didn't know or didn't pay attention as to what was happening. I think sometimes people just like things without actually kind of taking it in. And as I said, as it started to get, especially the last week. That last week, it started to pick up a lot of traction. So from 23, 24, 25, and people started hold on a minute, and then they've gone back and had a look at what I've done, and people were messaging me saying, "I've just gone back and realised what you're doing," and then all of a sudden the donations started sort of just skyrocketing.
Well, there's it's all about a campaign, Craig. This is the campaign me and Dave can start. If we can get every non-league club to donate £10 for your cause. Dave, there we go. There's the campaign. Every non-league club, let's get it spiring.
Yeah, definitely.
That's it. But I mean, how did you know, Mike, you get to that stage where you're sort of up to, maybe 12, 13, 14 miles. And you said there in some of those days there, you was really hurting. I mean, where was the, determination then to, when you was maybe doing that last half a mile or whatever on that day, and you're in absolute pain, and you think to yourself, "Strew, tomorrow I've got to go in and do 1 mile further than I'm doing today." I mean, you said a mentally tough. I mean, you've got to be mentally tough to be able to come and do something like that.
Do you know what? It's weird, because no, you do, but I don't look at myself as mental. I know I'm strong, but I don't know. I think people probably look at me and think I'm stronger than I think I am. But I don't know, just when you're in the moment doing things, you just kind of do it, I suppose. But it was for me, my missus, and to be fair, my mum as well, they every day my mum would message me every morning and say, "You've done enough now, I'm proud of you." Right again. She thought I was something bad would happen to me. My missus, the same thing. A few of my friends would be when you're running, if you put your location on live location on WhatsApp, so if it stops moving, then I'm going to come out and find you and things like that. But like my missus, she'd always, because like I said, I'm up early, so I'd get up, leave, and every day I'd come back. Somehow she knew I was back, and she'd sit up, look at me, and she'd just do this. She'd just keep doing that, and if I did that, then she knew, like, yeah, I'm good. We completed it. So she'd jump up, she'd do this. I do that. She goes, and then she'd go to sleep.
So did you do the same sort of route then, or did you change your routes every day? I mean, I know you was an extra mile longer, but I mean, did you actually sort of change your routes or anything like that?
Do you know what I did initially? I kind of I thought, well, let me go out, let me go this way, let me go that way, type of thing. And then when I started to get into sort of like 17, 18, I'd just be like, all right, let me go sort of in and around central London, things like that. And then when I got to around, I think it was about mile 25, there was a day when I'd done like a big circle from like mine up, and I was up and around like the A406, and I was doing like a big sweep. And when I'd done it once, it was roughly like sort of 10, 11 miles. So then I thought, oh, you know what? If I do that, because I knew I had sort of 30, 31 coming, I thought if I just do that a couple of times, then I know I'm in it. And I think like when I started to do it like that way, it made it it felt a bit easier for me, just because I knew where I was going. I didn't have to keep clock watching. So I knew roughly, like time-wise, roughly where I was at. But the toughest day, as I said, when it was my friend's wedding, because we was in Brighton, and it was kind of like a festival sort of theme. So we stayed overnight. We was in these tents, which was on site. So it was cold. When I mean cold, it was freezing. And when the alarm's gone off, it went off at 4:30, and I remember I jumped out of the tent, and it's freezing. I've unzipped the tent, and it's pitch black. You can only see the lights that are actually on the tents. There's maybe 15 or 20. And first thing I thought was, I can't do this, because I didn't know what I was going to do. And then I thought, you know what, Mike, you're going to be a groomsman in like 8-9 hours. You're going to have to get this done. So I got up, went outside, and it was like literally maybe 200 yards, about 200 meters, like a little kind of path that I found. I put the torch on, and for the first hour, I just did that for 1 hour. Worst thing I've ever done in my life. And I just kept thinking, I just have to do this, I have to do this. Then the light started to come up. When it started to come up, I started to come out onto the roads, and it was like country roads. Then I found like a little town, and I just went up and down for about 2.5, 3 hours. Then I started to run back in. And then when I got to the end on that one, I honestly, I was holding back tears, because I didn't think, like, I just remembered waking up, opening the tent, thinking, I can't see nothing, I don't know where I am. And I looked at where I was going to have to run for an hour. And I just thought, yeah, to get that one out the way, I thought, yeah, bring on 30, 31. I
thought you was going to say you ran and tripped over and took a lot of tents down, but that would have been a good old story to add as well. But is it something you're going to carry on doing, Mike, the running?
Yeah, do you know what? Yeah, probably. It's just every now and then I just saw it, and I thought, you know, that looks like a good challenge, that would push me. So I'm always kind of looking for something new. So I'm looking again, but because people say, keep messaging, you know, you need to rest, which I definitely do. But at the same time, it's like when you do it, you realize like it conditions your body as well. So I was speaking to someone yesterday, and I was saying, like, I know a lot of people like do like 5Ks, 10Ks and things like that. But having done that, I don't think I could just get up and run a 5K. Like, because my body just feels like, I think like to feel like I've done something, I would need to get up. I think if I'm going to run, I think minimum it's got to be sort of between 10 and 15 miles for me to feel like I've done something.
I'm tired thinking about it. I don't know about you, Craig.
Well, I was going to say to him, I would have been up for doing August the 1st with him. might have struggled.
I was going to say, Craig, what about you doing the 31 glass challenge?
The 31 what challenge?
Glass.
I'll tell you something.
The wine, bottles of wine, glasses of wine.
I swear
doing that
I'm going to tell you
I know.
something. He texted me to stop drinking, Michael.
I fancied one. I kept looking at your glass thinking, God, do you know what? I could mill a glass of wine.
I had a lovely bottle of Pinot and it was quality, right? But I can only see, when I'm doing the Zoom, there was only one picture up there and it was changing. It was either you or Dave or Stuart or Michael. And I'm thinking it's not, they can't see me, so I'm just having a drink. And it
looked well cold and all.
I pressed the plus button and you can see all of us. So I didn't know you could do that. So I didn't think you could see me drinking. It's only when Michael did that and I see the minus and plus button and I pressed the plus and all the faces come up. Oh, shit. Didn't know what I've been doing. Yeah, but no, it was very nice.
I'll be honest with you, I was sitting there, and I was thinking I was back on the show with the two girls again, if I'm honest. That's all they do.
Actually, listen, my missus has got a word to have with you two, because I'm supposed to be done at 8 o'clock, because we're supposed to be going out for a meal.
Well, go and enjoy your meal.
All right, then. I'm going to go.
All right, mate.
All right.
Take care. See you soon.
Listen, lads, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Always a pleasure, sir.
Lovely to see you all. All right.
Take care.
See you guys.
See you later. See you, mate.
He didn't hang around with that wine either, did he?
He put that away. He's a pro.
Yeah, I know he loves his wine.
I mean, one of the other things I suppose that I saw, I don't know if you saw it, lads, on Twitter, and I know that the young lady was going to come on tonight, but I think she's got a bit of a migraine. But because I wanted to talk to her about it, and somebody that we know quite well. But I mean, did you see the incident between Barking and Romford the other day, and with the German? I mean, does that not just show you that that these clubs like the Abbey, and when you was in the game as well, mate, and Harlow, it's really important to have those really qualified physios on that touchline.
Massively. Because you think about things like, you even have to, like with Ericsson in the Euros, and I suppose I'm probably not the only person, but when you're in and around like non-league, I'm sure a lot of people would have thought, if that was at the wrong place, at a ground where, well, not even a ground, it could just be training. Sometimes like little things we take for granted, we might train, the physio's not there, and things like that. And if something, touch wood, serious happens and you haven't got the right personnel there, the first sort of, that first, even like up to 30 seconds can be crucial.
No, you're right. Also, I think it makes you a little bit aware. I don't know what you think there, Mike, and obviously, heaven forbid, you wouldn't want to be in that position, but I do think that you wouldn't just stand by and do it. I think you would jump in there because, you've seen it. Obviously, I've done my first day. I ain't to that level, but the responder thing with the defibrillator and obviously CPR they make you do now, which is quite important. And obviously seeing, not just the girls, because there are still some men that do it. I do think that you are, as a club, more protected now. I think when Mike might have started right at the beginning, and myself, you know Alan that I had, Mike. To be fair, would have still coped with that. He was brilliant, to be honest. He was very good at things like that. But when you just sit think that, what did we do years back? This is what gets me, Dave. Did people die of it? No. Did these? No, and it's really weird how it's sort of, there is more of it now, and is it because there is more social media that publicise it more? I don't know, but if we look at Michael's career going back over the time, obviously you see a few nasty injuries which you don't like to see, but I'll try and sit and remember, what did we do?
Yeah, no, it's a good. Yeah, now that you say that, yeah.
Where did you see though? I think it was it Tooting that had the issue where a couple of that, it happened a couple of times at their in their club, and one of the guys there had actually gone forward and tried to sort of push it forward that most clubs actually went in for tests for all their players. I mean, do Do you think that's a good idea? That's something that maybe the league's got sort of slash over that they could get their players tested for
Dave,
that?
we spoke about this, didn't we, when Tunbridge Angels first done it? Do you remember they had it with their young lads?
Yeah.
And the screening, and they set up, it might have even been Sevenoaks as well. I can only say locally that you can get a screening because it's from the age of 14. And obviously my boy's 14 next week, and he plays football and the other ones. And you do sit there and think, right, should we go and take? You don't want to scare them, but should I go and take them for an ECG just to see, obviously, how they're developing and X, Y, and Z, and so it is something that you do look at, and I think it is something that FAs and county FAs should definitely look into a little bit more, and maybe non-league clubs. I think we spoke at the time should get together. I know, like I said, Tunbridge did and said, look, do you want to bring your side down, and the screening's on this day, it could cost you X amount instead, and I think just for peace of mind, I think if you're a young player, that you'll be stupid not to. Not to do, just to check out. I don't know what Michael would think about his team if he spoke to them about it.
Yeah, no, I think anything like that, just player safety has to kind of be first and foremost. And if there is any potential risk to any player, I think we'd like to know as staff, and sure they would like to know, because again, we love football, but there is more to life than the game. So you may go and get checked and it might show something, and you think, well, is it worth doing? Some people might just say, yeah, cool, I'll do it, but at least you kind of know where you are, sort of thing. But yeah, I don't know. I suppose, sometimes, like these things, like something happens and then things pick up traction for a little while and then they kind of fizzle out. So would it be a thing that happens all the time? I don't know. But
I think it only takes, what is it, the Fabrice Mwamba thing was the big one, wasn't it, when it first happened? Obviously, I think there was one before, but then obviously he come through, and then obviously Christian Eriksen, because it's live on telly, but it was more graphic. I think that was the first time you actually see something.
Yeah, to see sort of the ins and outs of what it can kind of not just do to the player, but to everyone, to his wife and the staff and the fans, everyone. I
think it just goes to show, Dave, with the defibrillators and things like that, and the help that a lot of clubs, hopefully at our level, they've all got anyway. That it did, it saved their life. It saved Christian Eriksen's life.
Wasn't there a young lad this week as well? Wasn't there? Passed away as well this week.
Yeah.
In one of the youth cup games as well.
For West Ham, wasn't it? Yeah.
So I mean, it's one of those things, though. Would you think, as managers, if your chairman come up to you and said, "Look, we're going to take a little bit off the budget for you this year so that you can get all your players tested," would that still sit with you and say, "Well, look, great, at least I can get these done." Gaff Tar, thanks very much indeed, and you got that sort of peace of mind, especially seeing the Eriksen thing, because that was, from my point of view, I think it was horrific, and the last thing you want to do is be playing on a Saturday or a Tuesday and seeing that unfolding in front of you without the medical assistance like they had then on, in the Euros, and touch wood, it never happened.
I think going back, Dave, when we had Steve McKim on the show, and I know Steve well, and Tunbridge done it, and I think Mickey Collins as well was part of it, if I remember rightly, going back. That listen, if it found one person in the whole of non-league football and it saved their life, then it's worth doing, isn't it? So I don't think any manager could go the other way and go, well, I'm not sure about the budget. I don't think it's thousands, if I'm right. I think you can do it on an X amount. And I just think, like I said, it's something that now that my boys are developing, obviously at that age, through puberty and obviously their heart muscles and things like that, that is something that does show up that, if you actually had it done and you found it's there is no price, is there, on that?
No, for sure.
No, absolutely. It is one of those things you do feel that we need to sort of. Do you think the pressure from that should be coming from the county FA? Should it be coming from the leagues as well, from the chairman of our leagues as well, sort of putting pressure maybe then on the county FAs to
well,
do
from my point of view, Dave, and again, I'm going to get shot down by every physio in the world and things like that at the moment. But obviously, and again, Mike and I agree, and Mike different. Again, it's social media, but obviously people going mad about the head injuries and concussion, etc., etc. Players can't play this and that. For me, I look at it and go, look, I understand that the head injury thing is massively important, but when you look at sports like rugby and boxing, and people are on about banding heading, and that you can punch someone in the head and you can smash someone in rugby every 2 minutes. Surely this is just as important or more important, because it's for all sports, it's for all athletes. And why haven't they pushed for maybe screening more than someone going on about head injuries? And like I said, I want to make the point clear that I think head injuries is important, but it's when you look at them two sports that are pretty brutal, and all of a sudden it's a major incident in football, but there are still physios in rugby and they smash heads all the time. That's one of the things I can't get, and I can't get my head around. And like I said, boxing the same, when someone punches you in the head. Is it different than footballs? And I don't know. I do struggle a little bit with it.
Mike?
Yeah, do you know what? Like personally, like with the heading, I don't, because they obviously like grassroots level, they've stopped it now, and you're not supposed to the head. But like my thing is, you can't, like if they're gonna stop heading, then you have to stop heading in football. Like you just shouldn't head, because, like for example, if I'm a centre half, but I can't use my head at all, coming up, and then all of a sudden I'm now first team or whatever, 23s. I can't, like, it's a technique, it's an art. I don't know how to do it. And all of a sudden now I'm playing and I'm good with the ball at my feet. I can do this and that, but the ball comes up and I'm still doing this because I haven't gotten through that initial stage of doing a few wrong heads and it hits the top of my head, or I smash my nose and my eyes water, and I learn it as I go. So you can't just ban it but then expect it to be then be used, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that would be dangerous as well, Mike, from what you've just said there, and you explained it quite well. That if you're not heading the ball from an early age, and then all of a sudden you get into the first team at maybe 17, 18, and all of a sudden you're starting to head the football, would that not do you more damage than if you was doing it from the very beginning? Because all of a sudden it's an impact to your head at an older age.
Well, Mike's explained it brilliantly. Heading a ball's a skill. It's a skill. It ain't just running and bang, I'm just going to do that. Timing, as Mike said, how many young kids, and like I said, my boys are going through it now, whereas, can you head a ball? Well, he can't, and they shut their eyes and it smashes them in the face, and they get one in the lip, and the top of the head's the worst one, because it's like it's fuzzy bear time. But it is an art. And like I said, I know balls, and again, there'll be people absolutely trying to slaughter me going, oh yeah, but head injuries, and I get all that. But what I'm saying to you is, when you see other sports, two particularly brutal sports, that it's not, them sports got to be banned. And then you see this, and like I said, I'm just going back onto the injuries with the heart and that, Dave, and I think that's that is a huge one, and no one likes to see injuries throughout. And going back to what you first started about physios, and I think clubs have come forward so much, and most of them, clubs can't afford fully qualified physios, Dave, that pro clubs have got. We've mainly got, which is a huge step, like I said, massive step from what it used to be. We've all got trained. I can't what their actual real names are, but it's more of sports therapists, I think they are, if they're actual the title. But going back even 5 years, I'd say it's hard to sort of say, do you know what? Oh, they've got a proper physio on the line there. I remember at Thamesmead, obviously when Alan left, and Michael, remember, I think Carly, she was the first one we had. It was like, wow, we've got Carly, and obviously, Ali was one of the Wayne that's the VCD and whatever, and then obviously Emily that you've got on your show, and now obviously they're everywhere, but she's brilliant. But clubs, I think, have come on so far for that, and they've still got loads further to go, but financially it is difficult to take it to the next level.
I mean, I've been involved in non-league football for 10 years or so. And, when I first started, you still saw the bloke running on with the bucket and the sponge. You know what I mean? And now you look at it now, and it's like, when Ali ever talks to me, and I have a conversation with Ali, if it's on the other show or if it's just on a phone or whatever else, and she says to me about, I'm bringing about 4 or 5 bags on the pitch, and I'm making sure I've got all these bags in the back of my car. And she said to me the other day that she had a nightmare that she'd left her bag somewhere like that, and she woke up in the night because she thought she'd left her bag somewhere. But it's just incredible,
But it's funny though, David. Like I said, I'll go back and ask Mike the same question. Going back, that sponge he's had on his leg and he's had on his foot, he can maybe remember it. But what did we do beforehand? What did we do? And now, and Craig and that said it now, going back a few years ago, the tackles were pretty fierce. And going back even further, they were even more fierce than what they are now. Is it that the sports equipment isn't very good now? The boots, that my kids have got them. I spend 120 quid on something that I can rip. Should the FA, and again, the players are going to kill me now, go back to say, well, hold on a minute, maybe you should have more protective gear. You know yourself, like Derek Duncan, who's a friend of yours, friend of mine, he's the Romford man. What he used to put down his legs, like Alistair Gordon, I don't know, Michael, used to put sponge down his socks and pretend they were shin pads and got away with it.
Yeah, people used to do the old, like, get newspaper and fold it down. Yeah.
So they didn't play. So should there be more? And I said all players are going to be more protection for boots and things like that to stop these injuries. I don't know.
No, you're absolutely. I suppose one thing as well. I know. Next week we're going to be doing a retirement special for a legend that is Jim Cooper. But was you surprised that he's hanged the boots up after a great victory over Aveley as well? And was you quite surprised at the timing of that?
Dave, do you know what? We really didn't speak to Craig about it because Craig knows Jim as well as I do, and I've known Jim. He's one of the first managers that I come across in the Eastman League. One of the nicest gentlemen, one of the best managers as well. So professional, so thorough. His time at Met Police. What he done at that club was unbelievable, and then obviously he's gone to Grays and he's done a great job, and obviously and it's funny when you get someone at that time, and I could have asked Craig the same to sort of announce it straight after the game was a surprise. Could you say, well, why did it come? And obviously we're going to ask him then questions next week, but I don't think he's one of them managers that I think every manager in non-league football that's come across Jim won't have a bad word to say about him. And that's his legacy, I think. That will be it. How many great messages he got on social media and personal. And I think that just speaks volumes of the man. And obviously it's going to be such a void. It's a massive job to fill. And I know Paul's gone in there, but what an unbelievable person. And I was surprised.
Was you, Michael?
Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, no, you are, but I think as well the way in the last, or what I've noticed with football, especially over sort of the last 3 or 4 years, is like managerial wise, I've noticed that it's sort of starting to get a little younger and younger. Do you know what I mean? Like initially when like coming in, I felt really young, but a lot of the times now you're coming up against people who a lot of people look a little bit older than me, but not too far, like looking sort of close to age range, if that makes sense. So I think it's kind of coming to that point where like a lot of people as well, like I'm managing against people that I played against as managers. So at some point that's going to stop as well, and younger people are then going to come in. So I suppose it's kind of coming around that time, if that makes sense.
Well, we just had somebody, just before we go, somebody's answered the question that we asked earlier on about where would Wolverhampton Abbey go if they got promoted. And someone's come in here, and it's non-league maps has come in and said, I think Wolverhampton Abbey would clearly go into the Isthmian Premier. There are 5 clubs around the northern part of the M25 further west. Tame United could be either, I think, in the Southern League Premier South would be more likely, but that's just a personal opinion. So it could be you go straight back in.
Well researched. We'll go with that.
Let's hope so.
Yeah, but listen, the time's gone past again. The 2 hours has flown by again tonight for a really great show. And a massive thank you to Michael, of course, who's still with us. Of course, to Stuart as well from Tame. And, of course, to the legend that is Craig as well. And, of course, to the other legend as well in the top left-hand corner in Mr. McMahon as well. We'll be back next week. And as we said, next week's a really special show next week. We're going to be having a retirement special for Jim Cooper. So if you've got anything you want to say to Jim, why not contact me through social media this week or Keith through social media this week. I'll put you in touch. Well, hopefully Keith and I will put you in touch with myself. We'll get you some videos and we'll get you to come on the show as well. We'll give you the Zoom code to get onto the show as well next week. Let's try and make it as special as we can for Jim. So any memories, any stories you've got about Jim or anything you want to say to him yourself personally, then please get in contact with us. And as I say, we'll make sure that you come on the show next week. But until next week, hopefully you get all the points that you want over the coming week. But from me, from Michael, and of course from Keith, thanks for watching and good night.
Guys.
Cheers, Mike.